Um, oh, I'm loud. I thought I was on mute because I am not. Afternoon.
Greetings.
Greetings, greetings.
Hello, I'm here.
Hey, Miss Baker. Hey, Mr. Torres. Oh, this made me dark. 1 second. Welcome in, Miss Green.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
2 minutes before 5. Let's see. And Miss Bilal emailed about getting in. She has the link, so she's just gonna double check. And we will get started. I'll just go ahead and briefly start with my call to order. Ms. Bilal is on her way in, you guys. So.
Hold on 1 second. I, I'm I'm trying to check to make sure that the link that's on the Go Team webpage is actually going to the YouTube.
We checked it earlier, Ms. Gibson. It should be live.
Yeah, for some reason when I was going to the tiny URL, that brings up a window that says the video is unavailable, like it's attached to I don't know, but I'm not sure what that is. But I just updated it.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. We
Yeah,
appreciate
so
you.
it is working now.
Thank you, Ms. Howe, too.
Ms. Gibson, should we still be waiting or should we be starting? Just double checking.
Oh, so yeah, you're good to go with the stream now, so you can start.
Okay, got you. Thank you so much. All right, good afternoon / evening, everybody. Welcome to Hollis Innovation Academy's Go Team meeting, where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and publicly noticed. I would like to remind everyone that this is a meeting of the Go Team. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to quietly observe. For members of the Go Team, please identify yourself when you speak. I am pleased to call this meeting of the Hollis Innovation Academy's Go Team to order at 5:05 p.m. September 11, 2024. Our first order of business is to call roll. The secretary will now take roll.
Okay, Aisha Fambro, Chair,
Present.
Javier Torres, Co-Chair, Mr. Torres, are you there?
Present.
I am Letitia Green, Secretary, Carla Moore, Cluster Representative. Ms. Moore, are you here yet? Okay. Mrs. Shea, Interim Principal.
Dr. Sharp is standing in.
Okay. Billy Walker, Parent. Ms. Walker. Okay. Monica Taylor, Parent. Miss Marielle Hicks, Community Seat. Sherry Belisle, Community.
I'm present.
Okay. And Chelsea Baker, Instructional Staff.
I'm present.
Okay.
We just had 2 more members join, so if you wanted to just go back over the misnames, I think it was Miss Moore.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, Ms. Moore, you present?
I'm present.
Okay. All right, Ms. Moore. Ms. Walker? Are you there, Ms. Walker? Okay, I don't think she's joined yet. Ms. Hicks, Marielle Hicks? And I don't think Ms. Hicks has joined yet. I think that's everyone else.
And Miss Taylor, I believe, joined.
Oh, okay. Ms. Taylor?
Hello.
Hi, Ms. Taylor. Yes, she's present.
Gotcha. So, let's see. The team will only be able to take official action if a quorum is present. Ms. Green, is there a quorum present?
Yes, we do have a quorum.
All right, so our first order of business, now that we do have a quorum established, is to approve the agenda. So I have to move the participants out of the way, and here we go. So this was provided to you and copies are on the screen. I don't think I'm able to zoom in, so hopefully everyone can see it. But we want to approve the agenda. So are there any changes that need to be made to the agenda? As you see. So I'll give you a second to overlook it. Does anyone need more time to overlook the agenda? All right, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
This is Carla Moore. I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. A second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye so the secretary can record your vote.
Aye.
Oh, that's aye. Gotcha. Sorry. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Please say abstain. All right, so we have the meeting agenda and the minutes approved. No, the meeting agenda approved. Now we will go on to approve the minutes, which are also on screen. And I apologize, your faces, so I'm going to have to hide them. So the meeting minutes from August 28th, 2024 is also available on screen. So we will review those minutes for a few moments. And if there are any corrections, let us know.
Are the minutes on a different slide?
No, it's right here. It's on the same one. Oh, wait, it should have been there. So that is not there. Let me go back and fix that. But it should have been meeting agenda and minutes. So I'm glad you said that. 1 second. It is also still on the website. So I will,
I think the meeting minutes just happens to say meeting agenda.
yeah, because that's what it looks like.
Because that's
No, that's not, those aren't them. I'm gonna send y'all the link. It's in the chat.
Okay.
And that's the same link that's up online, but I just pulled it so we can keep going. And then if everybody just opens that and scrolls down.
And I'm sharing my screen, so I'm also
Oh,
just
okay.
scroll down.
To page 6 of 11. That starts the minute.
Thank you. You said page 6. So these are the minutes right here. So thank you for calling that out. I'm not sure who it was, but I appreciate your attention to that matter. And here are the minutes, and I will scroll down to see more after time has passed. So this was roll call. Quorum was established. And then I'll just show you the action item here. It was to fill vacant spots. And here are the election of representatives here. So here's the chair, vice chair. And please let me know if I'm going too fast. Secretary. Cluster representative. Here is public comment protocol. And setting Go Team calendar. And I believe this is it, adjourned at 5:47. So those were the minutes. Does anyone need to see anything further before we move on? Are there any corrections to the minutes that need to be made? May I have a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes?
I second the motion. There's a motion in the chat.
I see it. Thank you so much. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions, please say abstain. All right, so I will close out this and go back to our presentation. Sure. We will now move to our discussion items, and our discussion items are in three categories. We have our school strategic plan, data discussions, as well as an optional school uniform discussion. So again, we have three topics: school strategic plan, those double S's, a data discussion, and also our optional school uniform. And those are the three discussion items. So we will move into our discussions. And this is where we are as the timeline for the GO team. So we are here in step 4, utilizing our current data. The GO team will review and possibly update the school strategic priorities and plan. So I will go ahead and jump right in. So our strategic plan is a 5-year plan, and this is what our strategic plan looks like thus far. So I'll do the heavy hitters. It is very small, so I apologize if you can't see it. We can provide this if necessary, but our SMART goals are listed at the top in the white boxes. And our first SMART goal in the first white box is to increase the percent of grades 3 through 8 DSC students. So DSC is Department of Special Education students scoring developing or above in reading from 7% to 10% on the Georgia milestones. 50% of our students will reach their MAP growth target in reading, and the remaining 50% of students will demonstrate progress towards their MAP growth target. In the second box, it reads that we will increase the percent of grades 3 through 8 students scoring proficient or above in math from 35% to 38%. And those two statements at the bottom are similar to the first, where 50% of our students will reach their MAP growth target in math, and the remaining 50% will just demonstrate progress towards their MAP growth target. And lastly, in the white box, and I apologize if you see me squinting, it says to increase social and emotional competencies in grades 3 through 8. We want 100% of our students to participate in BCES Screener to collect benchmark data. And we have a few priorities also listed in the left side of the screen in 4 colored boxes. So we want to foster academic excellence for all, build a culture of student support, equip and empower leaders and staff, and create a system of school support. And we have a couple of strategies listed on the left, but I'll just go ahead and go through our strategic priorities and allow you time to just go through the strategies that are listed. So through our strategic priorities, it is to focus on reading and mathematics, performance of Department of Special Education students. We want to focus on reading and math, performance of all Hollis students, create a STEM culture and achieve Georgia DOE STEM certification, develop a literacy and mathematics culture, leverage our care crew to provide wraparound services, improve leadership opportunities, retain top performing staff, and provide multiple engagement opportunities for families, and leverage school-based partnerships to support families. And the strategies, again, are listed to the right of the screen of how we plan to reach those priorities and initiatives listed in those colored boxes to the left. And I'll give you a few seconds to review the actual strategies of how the school plans to reach those goals. Are there any questions? All right. And again, these are the SMART goals that we just reviewed here. It's just without the extra so that you can kind of hone in on it. But again, these are the SMART goals. Last year, we did rank a top 3. However, everything is still in the process of being created. And I would say, I'm not going to say redeveloped, but everything is still in the process. So last year's top 3 is not available at the moment, unless anyone is aware of those top 3. But as of right now, we will discuss that at the next Go Team meeting. So this will be a point to make at the next Go Team meeting about the top 3 that were ranked last year. Now we'll move on to our data discussion unless anyone has questions about the school strategic plan. So I do want to give a disclaimer to everyone on the Zoom right now. 2024 math data will not be displayed. I want to say it again, 2024 math data will not be displayed. It is currently under embargo, and below is a screenshot that was provided from the state. None of the math data can be communicated with anybody outside of our internal school leadership team. In red, it reads, Go Teams cannot receive this data until the state embargo is lifted. So I will be frank and say you will not see any math data until the embargo is lifted. So I also want you to think about these questions as we go through the data. I want you to think about what you notice. What wonderings or questions do you have? And again, additional questions that you may have. But what do you wonder about the data you see? And do you have any questions that need to be answered? Here are a few considerations to think about as you review the data. And I can also put these questions in the chat if necessary. But I want you to think about, what does the data tell you? What does the data not tell you? What patterns or trends do you notice in the data? What gaps do you see in student achievement? And what good news is there to celebrate? We will be looking at the GMAS in comparison to the MAP data as well, but I'll also describe that now that the data is on the screen. So again, you will not see any you will not see any math data, I apologize. Yes, somebody is speaking or no? Go ahead. I just wanted to reiterate that we won't see math because I know that would be a question, but go ahead.
And the embargo will be lifted by the next Go Team meeting. It's supposed to be lifted by the 18th. So the next Go Team, you will see all of the data. But as Ms. Fambro stated, the top is our ELA GMAS from 3rd grade through 8th, and below it is 3rd through 8th grade MAP. So one of the things the district wants us to consider is MAP a great indicator for GMAT performance? So for example, as we're looking at 3rd grade MAP at the bottom, which 70% of our students were at beginning, 20% of our students were at developing, 9% were at proficient, and 1% was distinguished. So then if you look at the top, in comparison, which is our 3rd grade GMAS, 74% actually performed at beginning. So slightly off, but pretty spot on. 20% of our students were in developing, and then 6% were actually proficient in 3rd grade. So as you are looking at the data and taking those considerations in mind, this is how you would read it. So looking at, again, 8th grade, the students in the spring on MAP performed at 39% were beginning, but our actual performance in GMAS, 29% of them were at beginning. We had 19% in proficient, but we had 29 on the actual GMAS to score proficient. So that's just to show you that comparison as you look at it and think about those questions. So we'll give you a minute to look at the 2 sets of data. Again, the bottom is our spring MAP, which we take in March. And then of course we took milestone last day of April going into about May 15th. So give you a few minutes to kind of look at that and talk about, again, what do you see? What do you not see? Or what is the data not telling you? What patterns do you notice in the data? And then what do you see as our student gaps in achievement? And then of course, what is our good news to celebrate? And I think Ms. Baker dropped it dead on the money. Look at 8th grade, it does look amazing. So hats off to them.
I noticed a big jump between 5th and 6th, and my brain is immediately going to elementary, moving to middle. That score is kind of, it goes up, developing goes up, and I'm not sure if that's an instructional thing, or if it's just maybe there needs to be some more grade level planning between 5th and 6th so that that gap can kind of close, because I see it jumping from 56 to 65 on milestones, not so much on MAP, which is interesting. It went down for MAP, but it jumped up a little bit for milestones. So maybe testing is an issue. The way they're tested in fifth and then the way they're tested in sixth it's a little more rigorous, I'm sure. But maybe fifth and sixth need to kind of co-collaborate with that language arts.
Yeah, I would second that. I also think that with fifth grade, just from my experience, as a fifth grader and literally working with fifth graders as well, that I know it's a lot of emphasis placed on like, this is your last year in elementary. So I could definitely see that being attributed to that. The kids probably take it serious as well. So I definitely agree with you that fifth grade and sixth grade should do some type of vertical planning to make sure that that dip doesn't happen again. So I agree with everything Ms. Baker said, and Ms. Blau raised her hand.
Yeah, my wondering was the EL. Like I have an 8th grader and he was able to get a lot of the EL in the beginning when Hollis was open. So I'm wondering if the formula for EL education was also helpful with these scores for the 8th graders. Good. Majority of them was part of that. Was still at the school when we had EL. So
Yes,
that's my wondering.
Great wondering.
Mhm.
I noticed that if you look at our performance, as they matriculate through 3rd through 8th grade, our beginning level learners decrease and our proficient students are increasing. So again, as they matriculate in 3rd grade is that first year that students are taking high stakes testing. Now, of course, math is high stake, it's district level testing, but that's that first time that they ever take milestone. So again, just the call out of the trend that we are seeing the decline in the beginning level learners and that increase in our proficiency rating.
And I don't know if we caught Mr. Torres's comment, but he did say that the percentages are not far off. So is anyone else in agreement that like MAP and GMAS are not far off? Anyone disagrees? How do we feel about that?
I agree. I think the correlations are pretty much spot on. And I think also too, they're because of the time that we take the spring map in March, that gives teachers a little more time to focus on the instruction before we actually take the GMAS a few extra weeks, give or take a few. You have spring break in there, but there's some time to actually focus on instruction to move the needle a little bit as well. So where there are some differences in the percentages from the GMAS to the map, that might have something to do with it as well. The additional instructional time between the two assessments.
Very true, because you can definitely tell in 8th grade from that 29%, well, 39 we thought were going to be beginning, but 29%, same thing with 7th grade, 68, but 57 were beginning. So yeah, teachers are definitely utilizing that little bit, about a 4-week time period to do some intense, remediation and enrichment for those students, and it shows up in the data.
Definitely.
I agree.
Anyone else have another celebration? We want to celebrate our 5th grade as well. So 5th grade had 18% at proficiency. So it is the second highest proficiency rate. So again, we want to definitely call that out and give them a little shine for that as well. So they had the second highest proficiency rating. And as we know, the more students that we have in proficiency, the higher our CCRPI score, because that's where you're getting that 1 point and 1.5 points. Again, our developing learners as well, they're giving us half a point. So we definitely need more students in that proficiency that will boost our CCRPI score.
Shout out to 8th grade and 5th grade, and was 7th grade. So school is on the up and up, because guess what? Those 5th graders are now our 6th graders. So we are doing some things here at Hollis, and I just feel like we're gonna keep.
Miss Fambro?
Yes.
Can you do a I couldn't really pull it up. Can you do a comparison with I I know this is not the space for it, just for us to look at when we were having those conversations about splitting our middle and we going over to Russell. Can you look at the comparison between the 6, 7, and 8 when you do have time? I know there's not the space for it. We just want to ensure that we it's a lot of work for us to do, but it was a lot of convincing that moving over would help our scores, and not necessarily. So I would like to see a comparison in our other meeting if we could compare the grade levels and how did our communities do, because we had that conversation where they were trying to merge us over there.
Yes, ma'am. I wrote that down as a point to address in our next meeting, but I want to be sure I got exactly what you want to discuss. Is it the comparison to Russell, or is it Russell and other schools as well?
Us to Russell, the 6, 7, and 8.
Gotcha. I just want to make sure I had that correct. Yeah. And I saw a statement from Ms. Baker in the chat.
I was about to say, yep.
Go ahead.
We are, Ms. Baker, and to the whole GO team, this year we were able to hire a reading specialist and a math specialist. Our math specialist is actually pulling multiple small groups in math, and those developing students that are right there at the cusp of being a proficient student. Our reading specialist, we have a new curriculum in reading, which is called Flyleaf. And so we have to have multiple teams because students are going to receive direct instruction at their level. So Nichelle, Chelsea, Javier, if we're in the same grouping, we're going to actually have instruction together. We don't mix any groups. So we are having to use our reading specialists, our media specialists, several other members of our staff in order to give that direct instruction at your levels. So the only group she's able to pull small group and provide that additional support is to 5th grade based on the schedule of when we have to do Flyleaf. Because we have 4 Flyleaf times that are actually being implemented from K-5, but she is able to pull 1 5th grade small group, and those groups are fluid. So they're based on MAP. So they got students based on how they scored in fall MAP. When we take winter MAP, students that perform, if Chelsea Baker is performing at proficient, she will roll out of that small group, and Aisha will roll in because she's right at the cusp of being proficient. So those groups are very fluid. So you'll see a major difference in our data because we have that additional support that is being provided to those developing students in tutoring. So yes, thank you for that call out, Ms. Baker. We sure are. And no, Flyleaf is actually direct instruction based on your reading level. So it is not considered an intervention tool. It is part of the students' reading. So students in K-5 receive 90 to 120 minutes. The Flyleaf direct instruction is a 50-minute direct instruction kind of small group based on your level.
Okay, thank you. I had questions. I was just typing them as they were coming in my brain.
Nope.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions and discussion about the data? And again, this is just a discussion item. We are not taking action here. Just want to make sure we give everybody time to share before we move on. All right. Let me exit out of the chat so I can move the screen. So any glows, and I might have to stop and share glows and grows based on the data that you saw in our strategic, I'm sorry, I keep messing it up, plan. Are we on target to successfully accomplish our priorities based on the data you saw? Any glows, any grows? I know Ms. Baker did catch that from 5th to 6th, so that might be a grow for us. So I would add that. Grows vertical.
3rd and 4th grade proficiency rating in ELA as a grow.
Say it again.
Third in the grow, same thing. 3rd and 4th grade. That's not a glow. I'm sorry, grow.
3rd and 4th proficiency. And I'll go back and show it. And if anybody wants to, and I see something in the chat, but I'm doing several things. So give me one second.
He said that the GLOW is an increase in proficient students throughout the years.
Okay. Increase in proficient students throughout the year.
Call out that 5th and 8th grade as well, having the highest proficiency rating amongst our data set.
I'm abbreviating so I won't have to mess up the way the screen looks. Proficiency, okay. And is this the same message in the chat? Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Any other glows and grows? All right, I will go back in full screen. So this is what we have listed as our glows and grows here on the screen. Any additional before we move on?
Baker stated increase in distinguished students in 7th and 8th. Yay.
Increase. Distinguished. And is there anything else before we move?
Another grow, as Mr. Torres said, the developing students are developing in comparison to proficient students. We do have a large percentage of students that are developing, which is taking us right to getting them. We do a lot of work around them, supporting them in great tier 1 instruction. We can get them to proficiency.
I agree with all of those. And is there anything else before we move on? Or is that it? All righty. So now we will move forward with our third discussion item, which is an optional school uniform. So today's goal is to decide if we even wish to move forward with this initiative. If we vote in favor of establishing an optional school uniform, we will then discuss the formation of an advisory committee to help implement and manage the process. If we vote against establishing an optional school uniform, the school will not have a school uniform in 2025, 2026, and we will proceed with the next agenda item. However, we are not ready to vote yet. So before we move forward, standing in for Barbara Shea is Dr. Sharp. Can you provide the team with the background information on this policy change?
Of course. So I'm sure you all know that in 2023-24 school year, APS, the Board of Education, adopted or updated their district dress code policy. As the updates are starting this school year, 25, going into 25-26 school year, if a school wishes to adopt an optional, keyword, optional school uniform, they must go through the engagement process and have a vote as outlined below. So in elementary, the school uniform is adopted upon the agreement of the principal and a majority vote of the GO team. So for elementary, it's simply the principal and the GO team. If they decide that we want to go within a optional uniform policy, then we will move forward with it. In middle school, however, school uniforms are adopted upon the agreement of the principal and the GO team and the elected student government. If the school does not have an elected student government, then a majority vote must be secured from the student body to adopt a uniform policy. So if we do not have a student government, then the students all get an opportunity to vote if they want to have this optional dress code. And it will go into effect in the school year 25-26. So in the board policy for student dress code, the requirements are, of course, a top of non-see-through fabric, a bottom of non-see-through fabric, must have shoes, and undergarments that are not visible. Restrictions: no words or symbols that are gang-related, sexual suggestion, obscene, or promotes illegal behavior. Nothing associated with alcohol, illegal drugs, or tobacco. No flip-flops, no athletic slides or footwear that doesn't support the front and back of the foot. If we decide to do an optional school uniform policy, school-specific dress codes cannot contradict board policy. And below are examples of problematic school-specific dress code provisions. And I'll let you see some of those, such things as we can't say no tube tops, no Crocs. We can't tell students they must tuck their shirts in. We cannot tell students they cannot wear sweatpants. We cannot say anything about their hair being groomed, clean, and neat. So these are just some, we cannot say extreme hairstyles or colors. So these are things that we cannot put in our optional school dress code if we decide as a Go team to move forward with this. Any questions? And I know this is a big one, no leggings. We cannot tell students they cannot wear leggings.
We can't even say right here in the green, I don't know if anybody caught that, no short
Right.
shorts.
Or school skirts, that's right. So these are all the things we cannot say if we decide to go with a optional school uniform policy.
I have a question. Has APS given us any support as far as providing uniforms for students? Because I feel like you're gonna get a lot of pushback from parents if they're not given the uniform to wear. Because if they got a house full of clothes, they're gonna wear what they have. And I know that you said that it's optional, but for me, I love uniforms. I prefer uniforms. But you can't really force people to make them wear them. So has APS ever like said, we'll be able to give them vouchers for uniforms or something like that? I'm not sure, how that process
So
works.
Miss Scott and Miss Berry actually get uniforms. So for those students that come in and want the uniform, they actually have uniform tops and bottoms. So we do have that option. I know it's been times when partners have actually bought uniforms for all students. They might say, we're going to come in and buy everybody their polo, and we're going to buy everybody one bottom. So we can also tap into our partners to get them to provide students with uniforms. But to your point, it is still optional. So we can provide that to them, but that doesn't mean that I can decide I don't want to wear it. And as a school district, because it is optional, even if we decide as a school we want to be a uniform school, it is still considered an option for students. So if Michelle decides I do not want to wear the uniform, even though you gave me one, then I don't have to wear it. But yes, we can tap into, and I think Ms. Belisle had her hand up as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, to Ms. Baker's point, yeah, the cost. And I guess getting children into school, I guess the come as you are motto to learn. I was looking at it from that standpoint, come as you are to learn.
I think you'll agree when you see the next slide. I think the next slide kind of almost addresses that.
Ooh.
So even if we adopt, to Ms. Belisle's point, even to Ms. Baker's point, uniforms are great. Keeps things easy and simple. However, and we can provide it for them. However, because it is still going to be optional, then we cannot take students out of their instructional time. We can't interrupt them. We can't bar them from if they decline. It used to be a day and time. I won't say where, but I think it's been everywhere where, if a child isn't in uniform and we say we were a uniform school, they might receive ISS if they don't want to put on the uniform, because if we have uniforms available to provide for them, we could give that to them. But students can say, I don't want to wear that. And we are not to take them out of their instruction or interrupt their instructional time. So even if we decide as a Go team to move forward and say, you know what, we want to be a optional uniform school, there will still be students that will come as they are.
Any more questions for Dr. Sharp? All right. Thank you for that information, Dr. Sharp. Now we can decide if we want to have an optional school uniform. This vote will determine if we move forward with the idea. Is there a motion to implement an optional school uniform?
This is Carla Moore. I'd like to move a motion to adopt an optional school uniform.
A second?
I'll second that motion.
The motion has been made and seconded. We'll now have a brief discussion. Share any questions or thoughts you have about implementing an optional school uniform. Any questions or thoughts you have about implementing? Go ahead.
I have a question about the middle school. If they get to there, how is that going to look? Is that like a survey for the kids?
Yeah, so if you go back a few slides really quickly, Ms. Fambro, back to where it talks about elementary and middle. So in middle school, so remember, this is something that we would actually, and Ms. Fambro is going to kind of talk about the process that since we've kind of decided we want to do this optional, there's several things that we have to do, some engagements we have to do with the community. And yes, because we do not have a student council, a student government, then our entire middle school population will get to vote if they want to adopt a school uniform. So they will be given a survey and the option to vote. But of course, there will be family engagements, and Ms. Fambro is going to get into all the different things that we have to do as we decide to do this optional uniform.
1 second. The after school is reaching out. Okay, so we did have a motion to discuss it. Any more questions or thoughts before we get ready to vote? Ms. Baker, that was a great question, but now is the time to discuss any, I guess, apprehensions or, excitement you have for adopting the optional school uniform.
I'm excited because it makes it cheaper, y'all. But I will tell you, as my grandsons get older, there is a pushback from them. But I noticed this year there's more kids wearing uniforms, so they're not really complaining as much. I noticed that because there's like 5 kids that catch the school bus over here and everybody's uniform down. So I kind of like maybe the kids haven't been doing it, but maybe somehow the parents this year discovered it's a little cheaper. But that's, I think, some of the pushback is the kids start saying, I don't want to wear a uniform. But I prefer it because if you didn't grow out of it last year, you can, it's actually cheaper.
Yeah, both of my children are in uniforms, and it definitely saves money.
And maybe even, y'all, we could do a thing where I know they might be used, but sometimes depending on how my grandsons grow, sometimes my stuff is brand new and I just have all these new stuff or it's barely worn.
Gotcha.
So even if we did like a, folks will take it if it's free. Like even if we said, hey, let's recycle these clothes, because I'm recycling them in my own house, but we can recycle these uniforms all the way down.
And our parent liaison, we do have a community closet. So those uniforms can be brought up to Ms. Suda and make them available to the students. We can also give some of them to our social workers because a lot of times they find out a lot faster if a student needs something. And then they could have them and then also give those uniforms. So we do have a closet that we would welcome all the clothes that anyone has, that students that need things. It would be great.
I'm excited because I'm getting ready to load it up.
Load it up and see Miss Suda.
Okay.
It was an issue with bringing in clothes. They said the clothes have to be dry clean before they come in.
I'll find out, Ms. Bilal, about that because we've got 2 washers and dryers. But I will find out. So
yeah, because they said
hold
that
your
came
load
from
up, but I'll
downtown.
find
Because
out.
we try to give the school uniforms, and they said that came from downtown. It have to be dry clean.
Yeah,
and in plastic or something before the school can even take it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard that as well. I'm not sure if that can be fact checked, Dr. Sharp, or not, but I've heard that.
I'll fact check that.
Okay. And we also have a comment from Miss Taylor that says she prefers uniform, and that's a parent of one of our students here. Well, not just one, but Miss Taylor prefers uniforms. I just wanted to put that out there. And any other questions or thoughts that we have about implementing the optional school uniform before we go ahead and take a vote? Just want you to know, if we decide to vote to move forward with this optional school uniform policy, then the team would have to proceed and discuss the school uniform advisory committee. So I just want to put that out there, that if we vote to move forward, we will have to establish a uniform advisory committee. So are we ready to move forward and vote? All right, got a yes. So all in favor, please say aye, so the secretary can record your vote.
Aye.
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 All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions, please say abstain. Thank you for your votes. The majority of the Go Team is in favor of moving forward for an optional school uniform. Now that we voted to proceed, we will establish a school uniform advisory committee. So I'm sorry, I want to clear my screen of the chat. So we have to discuss about moving forward with establishing a school uniform advisory committee. We have been tasked with recommending the school uniform component, stakeholder engagement plan, timeframe the uniform will be in use, and communication plan upon adoption of the uniform for the Go Team's consideration. So we will now discuss the goals of the committee. The minimum required goals are to, and they're also on the screen. I'm reading from a sheet of paper, but they're on the screen for you. Recommend the optional school uniform components. Develop a stakeholder engagement plan to receive feedback on the proposed uniform, which must include a minimum 20-day public comment period. Establish the student voting timeline and process if necessary. Determine the length and time the uniform will be in use before reconsideration, and create a communication plan to inform the school community about the optional school uniform if the uniform is adopted. Are there any additional goals other than those on the screen that we should consider? Now we will determine who will serve on the committee. The committee may have, and I'm trying to move the screen. There we go. So as I'm reading, you can also look on the screen. The committee may have up to 3 Go Team members, the committee chair, and up to 2 additional members. Must include at least 3 students for high schools and middle schools as outlined by the district, and may include any other members we identify. We'll need a group of people who are committed to putting in some time and effort to gather feedback, conduct research, and make recommendations. Are there any other individuals or groups we should consider outside of those listed on the screen? And number 1 says that I will name the committee chair. So, okay. All right.
Ms. Baker.
Finally, we will need to determine the length of time for this committee, and the committee will need to complete its work and bring a recommendation for the full Go Team's consideration in spring semester. Please suggest a termination date for this committee. So I guess this is for everybody to talk about. What would be the termination date for this committee? I guess it's basically a rollout that will be happening with this committee. And what would be the termination date for this committee after they do their rollout? Any suggestions?
And maybe the last day of school.
You said the last day of school?
Yeah, because it needs to go into effect the beginning of next school year, correct?
Yes.
Right, I was thinking something similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
So we
just
should have everything together and decided. I'm sorry, y'all, that's my baby. We should have everything decided by the end of the school year.
Right, because we're rolling it out next year's school year, right? So we should give them the whole year.
Okay, I wrote that down. Thank you all. Okay. Oh yeah, okay, we're ready to move on then. So based on our discussion, I propose the following resolution. Hollis Innovation Academy Go Team establishes a school uniform advisory committee with the goals and members as outlined on the resolution. This committee will present its final recommendations to the Go Team no later than, what is the last day of school? Because we already just agreed on that, but what is the last day of school? We have to pull that up.
You gotta pull that up. I don't know, May something. Oh, you know what? It's almost the end of the month this year.
I will pull it up and we will.
Yeah, it's later.
It's later, really later, like almost like Jersey later.
Gotcha. I'll record that. We just know it's the
30th?
The 30th? Okay.
Not the 30th, is it?
It's like the 20 something. Like it's
something like that. It's close to the end of the month, like she said. So it might be the 30th, but we'll
it threw me
definitely
off
check it.
because I was like, we start on the 1st. Why y'all got us in school so long?
I'm pulling up the school calendar now. So 2024, 2025, the last day of school is May 29th. So I'll just reread that part just so it's on record. This committee will present its final recommendations to the Go Team no later than May 29th. May I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Quick question, just for the membership, did you guys identify who's going to be on the committee?
According to the script, that comes next.
Okay,
But no, we haven't, to answer your question, but based on the flow of it, that comes next.
gotcha. Okay, that's fine. I didn't know, because since y'all don't have I know you'll name the chair, but just because you guys do have the middle schoolers, do y'all have ambassadors?
As of now, I don't think so.
No, no, we don't. So we would
Okay.
have to do the school vote.
But so even if you, so yes, you'll do the school-wide vote, but you still,
But we can name 3 ambassadors is what you're telling us.
right, you see, you
Okay.
would still have to have 3 students, I'm sorry,
3
on the
students.
committee. Mm-hmm.
Y'all, how do we get the 3 students? Do y'all know students that would want to do this? Or did we just like,
It's saying that it would at least 3 students selected by the principal with Go Team input.
okay,
So I don't know if maybe Principal Shea, when she returns, she can actually name 3 people working with some of our middle school staff and then bring those names back to the Go Team to consider. Because it says with input from the Go Team.
okay.
So I guess the question is, anybody want to volunteer to be a part of the uniform committee?
I will.
Okay, Ms. Baker. I see something in the chat, but hold on, I have to.
Miss Taylor said
Ms.
she
Taylor
will.
says she will too.
And anyone else, because it said no more than 3. So we can only have 3 Go Team members.
It says a maximum of 3.
Right. So we cannot go above 3.
So
Yeah.
it looks like you have Taylor and Baker. So that's 2. So we just need 1 more.
It says a maximum, so maximum.
True. So we could go with the 2. Is
Yeah,
that correct, Ms. Gibson?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's correct.
It says that with this committee, we have to have at least 3 students, but we don't have students on this meeting right now. So that would have to be a future plan there. And so, go
Can
ahead.
we put that in the minute so that we maybe by our next meeting we'll have those 3 names?
You said put it in the minutes?
Yeah, I mean, can we just notate that we need to get those names before our
Yeah.
next meeting?
Okay.
I've made an action item as well as the fact checking about the close.
And do we only need the 3 middle school, or do we also need 3 elementary students as well?
It says 3
So
students,
that's
so it looks
actually,
like elementary as well.
yep, so it's up to the team. So if you did have elementary school ambassadors, then we would recommend, so because the board policy doesn't, at the elementary school level, doesn't require students. We worked or partner with student engagement. And so in our discussions, the recommendation would be at all levels that teams would try to have students on the committee. Hollis obviously is a K-8. So that would be a decision for you guys to make, in addition to your 3 middle school students, do you want to have any elementary representation on the committee?
I mean, this is Carla. If we did, it would like be maybe third grade and up, because like I'm not trying to be mean, but what I don't even know if the second or first grader would even care.
Yeah, I would say
But
third to fifth grade if we chose any.
if we chose any, that's when I started having problems with my grandson at Hollis about wearing a uniform, was third grade. So I think that's when it kicks in more about noticing kids are wearing other clothes.
Any other comments or questions? So we have so far Miss Chelsea Baker and Miss Monica Taylor that have agreed to support and be on the school uniform advisory committee. I heard somebody about to say something. Maybe that was a mistake. All right, and we also have Miss Baker comment as an action item, which is a great action item, that by the next meeting, we need to have our 3 students. And so we have those things noted, and I'll just go backward just a little bit. Again, based on our discussion, I propose the following resolution. Hollis Innovation Academy's Go Team established a school uniform advisory committee with the goals and members as outlined on the resolution. This committee will present its final recommendations to the Go Team no later than May 29th, 2025. May I have a motion to approve this resolution? Mr. Torres gave me a motion to approve.
I second it. This is Carla.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions, please say abstain. Okay, here we go. So now that we have established the school uniform advisory committee, I will name the chair of the committee. The chair will be responsible for setting committee meetings, achieving the goals of the committee, adhering to open meeting laws, and providing regular reports of the committee to the Go Team. I name Chelsea Baker to be the chair of the school uniform advisory committee. Do you accept this appointment?
I accept.
This concludes the establishment of our school uniform advisory committee. We will post the approved resolution to the Go Team webpage and submit it to the district office. All right, and that is our last discussion item. Well, that was a lot, but we'll now move forward to our information item, and first is the principal's report.
Make sure my mute is on. So we have more information about leveling. We were projected to have 597 students. We actually currently, our enrollment is 560, which is a difference of 37. I know the first time the Go Team met, we were right at 52 students, but we did have some students enroll before they closed us out, before the leveling process took place. Unfortunately, because we are under enrolled, we did end up losing a staff member. And remember, we were already in a $92,000 deficit, and our Sabo account only had $24 in it. And our Sabo account is where you have, it's like discretionary funds where you can buy food. There are other things that you can do. And so like when we do the parking lot, I think Ms. Holster had asked for people to join the parking lot committee because they work the parking lot at the different games and venues. And we're able to get that money, and that money is used to purchase things like uniform, purchase things for incentives. And then if you also remember from the last budget where we talked about that we were also 300, because we're under enroll, it was about $318,000 deficit. So we were really supposed to lose 3 teachers. But because the state of Hollis and things that were going on and the push of Ms. Shea and the team, HR and the budgeting team ate about $200,000 for us. So we only ended up losing 1 staff member. Hated to lose one, didn't want to lose any teachers, But because we were so under enrolled, especially in our kindergarten, we had to lose a staff member. So that's where we are in the leveling process. The leveling process took place last week, and that staff member will be leaving our staff and going to another school. So I don't want anyone to think that they lost their job. They did not lose their job in the leveling process. What happens is those schools that have larger enrollments, those teachers are absorbed at those schools. So that staff member is going to be joining another staff, and it's a little sad for us. And their first day is actually tomorrow.
Any questions?
About leveling.
All right, we will move forward to announcements. That was our only information item. And the announcements are as follows. So on the screen, we want you to join us on Saturday, September 28th. We're excited to announce our G3 Summit, Go, Grow, Govern. We need to plan to have at least 3 Go team members attend this event for a day focused on leading with purpose. This will be an in-person event on Saturday, September 28th from 8:30 to 2:30 at Tuskegee Airmen Global Academy. Registration will be opening soon, so just announcing that. Let me know if I'm moving too fast, because I will move on to announcement number 2. Don't forget to complete, it is something in the chat. That's exciting. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Torres. Announcement number 2 is to don't forget to complete your required training. All Go team members must complete their training for the Go team to be in compliance. You can find the training in Ellis. If you need more information about your Ellis account, I will email you directly as I have everyone's email. And our last announcement, our next meeting is October 9th, 2024, I'm sorry, at 5 p.m. And it will be virtual using this same link. Do we have any other announcements at this time? We are not open for public comment. So we have reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business to handle at this time? May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This is Carla. I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Ms. Bilal, raise-
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Please say abstain. Oh, wait, something in chat? Okay. Meeting is adjourned. Have a great evening, everybody.
I'll see y'all next month.
See you
Good evening.
October 9th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.